Shared Future News volunteer Daniel BENNETT interviewed Dr. Gul Kacmaz ERK at Queen's Film Theatre. Dr. ERK explained the motivation behind the CACity Research Group's film series event, Walled Cities, and the powerful role that media and art play in collective memory and efforts to forge a shared future. This episode is part of our series on Northern Peacebuilders, interviews with individuals whose work and efforts contribute to better community relations in Northern Ireland. It is also available as a published article at Shared Future News.
My name is Gul Kacmaz ERK. I'm originally from Turkey and I've been working here at Queen's in architecture as a lecturer for more than 6 years now. So I have some experience of the island, both from the south and the north. And my research is on cinema and architecture. We recently submit, by the end of 2016, a big funding application to AHRC about Belfast and Dublin films. With this interest, where I work with geographers and film scholars and architects, I approached QFT to do a film series called Walled Cities as part of our research group. This research group is called CACity, Cinema and Architecture in the City, and brings together more than 100 scholars. And we have been doing lots of events that are open to public since 2014.
71 was critically acclaimed on its release. Why choose to show this film?
Okay, I know people probably have mixed feelings about 71, myself as well, but I think that makes it more interesting to open up a discussion about how film and different representations of the past influence the way we look at our memory, our collective memory, but also how we look at our future. But I think it's important to look at cities and architecture and also our future, not only from within, but also from outside of our culture. So I'm not shy to research about or write about Irish cinema or Irish cities, being an outsider. And I think there is merit in looking at films which are made outside of the city, looking at the city. Obviously there will be differences between such films and more local films. But to open up the discussion, I think all of them are valuable. 71 is from the perspective of the other side, per se, the so-called other side, which makes it, I think, interesting. For me, the aim today is to get rid of us and them, not to have the other, but all of us collectively. That's why I'm here. Myself and other foreigners at Queen's or in Belfast, we are here because it's a safe city for us to live in, and it's not a divided city anymore. It's a post-conflict city, yes, but that post part of the conflict is very, very important. Post-conflict also means that there are traces of the conflict still in the culture. We are aware of that, we all are, but that doesn't mean that a lot has been done to overcome that over the years. That's why we have a big population of foreigners working here, but also students studying here, and tourists as well.
You brought up something interesting there in the other perspective shown in the film. Does that mean we have to consider what a, quote, victim is from a different perspective?
There are victims in all situations. You can consider yourself a victim, even, buying a pack of cigarettes or a chocolate bar, in a shop. Or you may not think of yourself as a victim, although there has been a bombing in the building you were at one point. The issue of being or feeling like a victim is, I think, more perceptual rather than factual. I'm sure there are lots of experts writing about that, so this is not a very academic approach, but my personal interest. I don't like 71 from that perspective. I like the film, or we are interested in showing the film, more because, like you say, it brings someone who we wouldn't see as a victim on the big screen, and maybe that person makes us feel closer to the so-called other side, and this may maybe help us to come closer to the line, to the border between the two, rather than get away from it. But whatever it does, I think opening up the discussion is the key. What I've seen in my own culture in Turkey is that if you don't talk about the past achievements, the past mistakes, the past guilt, if you don't talk about them, if you just bury them inside, it's like cancer. It creates cancer and it gets worse and worse. The best thing is to open the wound, clean it up. We have to talk about things, we have to talk about the past and talk about the future, a shared future and a different kind of past. Because how you look at the past through history is different than how you look at the past through memory. History is the official one, usually written by authorities, by governments. But memory, individual memory and collective memory, these are in people. And some of it is shared orally through, oral histories, or some of it is shared through art, like cinema, like photography, like poetry, literature. Sharing them is very, very important. And as you go along, it changes. The way we looked at 1970s of Belfast in, say, 1990 was different than how we look at it in 2005. It's different than 2017. The way we look at the film, 71, today, will be definitely different when we look at it 20 years from now. I find all this really, really interesting. The next film we will show is Wings of Desire from Berlin, which was made just before the fall of the wall, 2 years before the fall of Berlin Wall. And when you watch it in 90s, which I did for the first time and started writing about it in my dissertation, that's really different than how we look at it now from a different perspective. It's the 30th anniversary of the film, and the film is still a great film, but it means different things to us now.
It's interesting you bring up the idea of shared futures, because that's my next question. 71 is a piece of art used to illuminate Belfast's recent history. How do you think art can help us achieve a shared future?
There's history, there is individual memories, and there's a collective memory. Collective memory could be the collective memory of a family. It belongs to a social group. That could be a family, that could be a religious group, that could be a race, a certain racial common background. That could be the people living in the same city, in the same town, in the same village, street, in the same building, apartment block, flats. To bring out this collectivity, you need tools. You obviously talk, but also you share your common vision through art. Art, but also media. I will maybe include media to that. I was thinking, I first lived in Dublin and then in Belfast, so one thing that I felt like, and this is not again an academic observation, quite personal, I may be wrong, but I feel like because there has been BBC here for years and years, that changed Northern Irish people in a different way than the Southern Irish people. because the TV channels are different, obviously they watch both and the shared ones, but say when you turn on the TV for the news, you would look at BBC here, and then that is a shared daily life, let's say, of the UK, whereas it is different in the South. Even with these different newspapers, different media, different TV channels, you start to shift in different ways collectively as a group. I'll come to art in relation to that. Art does the same thing. The reason why I really find art valuable is that it is not by the authorities. It comes from individuals, from artists who question the past, the present, and the future, and who care about these things and put things into perspective through different media and representations. So in literature, it's through words. In cinema, it's through sound and image. The end product is there, and it reflects the time it's made. I think if we come back to 71 is obviously representing 1971, as that's the set time in the film, but it's made in 2014, which means that we're looking at the 70s from the perspective of 2010s. So film is really powerful in that sense, because it's not just an art that stays local. Because of its nature, it can be sent to any country, anywhere. You can watch it anywhere. With internet, obviously, it has broadened much more. It represents its time. It looks at the back. It says something about our past, which really helps, in my opinion, to our future, to our shared future.